So what does this tell us when we realize the Democrats are peddling delusion and the reality contradicts the Democrats' narrative? What does this tell us? This is just the first step. Once the Democrats ban semi-automatic rifles and forcibly confiscate our guns, tell us that they're buybacks, it won't materially change the firearm homicide rate. We have evidence to prove that. So what will the Democrats do then? Well, they'll demonize another type of weapon. They'll go after handguns next. And now they'll have the precedent to do it if we let the left ban AR-15s. They'll say we already did it with semi-automatic rifles. All the left will have to do is expand the invented definition of assault firearm to include all semi-automatic weapons, not just rifles, and suddenly the only thing you'll be allowed to do is own a musket. Thank goodness for Judge Benitez in California standing up for the Constitution. Thank goodness for pro-Second Amendment advocates never backing down to the radical left, because the facts and the reality are not on the side of the radical left. In fact, there are 9 ways that we could stop gun violence in our country, and the left is not interested. They ignore it completely. Here are 9 ways that we can help stop gun violence. You can abolish gun-free zones. They're literally invitations for killers. Bring your gun. Come on. There's nobody here that's going to be able to defend against what you're doing. Abolish gun-free zones. In schools, arm teachers, if they're qualified and capable and willing. If not, hire armed security guards. Protect the kids. If you see something, say something. There's a case to be made for gun violence restraining orders too, and I know that's a touchy subject, and I understand why, because they can be abused. But there is a case for gun violence restraining orders when it comes to domestic violence or previous gun infractions. Call out absent fathers. Nothing impacts the crime rate more than the breakdown of the family. If families are intact, then children are less likely to be criminals when they grow up. Call out absent fathers. If you are old enough and responsible enough to create that child, you are old enough and responsible enough to care for that child. Raise your child. Teach them right from wrong. Be a role model. We wouldn't have half of the ills in society that we have if the breakdown of the family had not been celebrated by the left. Study the impact of psychotropic drugs, psychiatric drugs. These black box drugs, if you read them and read the back, and I know this is a controversial opinion and it shouldn't be, because this is the reality of what the pharmaceutical companies admit on these drugs, that they can have suicidal and homicidal ideation as side effects of these drugs. It's not common, but it's possible. So study the impacts of these drugs. Also, encourage concealed carry permits for people who are qualified and willing to do so. Killers don't always have a death wish, and mass shootings can be mitigated. We have seen this time and time again when law-abiding gun owners step in to protect their family and their friends. And finally, learn from history. Banning guns doesn't work. Criminals still get their hands on guns, but law-abiding citizens have their rights violated. They are less safe, or they're forced to break the law themselves just by owning the gun that they already owned. If the left was interested in actually protecting our nation from gun violence, they would get on board with all of these suggestions, but they don't, because they're not truly interested in stemming gun violence. They're interested in violating your Second Amendment.
Hi. Before you go, let me talk to you about something. As you know, I've been censored on Facebook and YouTube, so I partnered with locals to create a censorship-free community. I also just launched my show, and I have a lot of exciting new things coming up that I want to make sure I can share with you and get your input on. I'm going to be sharing behind-the-scenes looks of my set and my show prep, and I get a lot of questions about my hair and makeup routines, my research process, and so much more. So I'll give you sneak peeks of all of that. I'll also be doing exclusive segments of my show just for Locals VIPs. All of my interviews will be shared on Locals for VIPs to watch as well. I'll be taking questions directly from VIPs for the video mailbag in my show, and you'll get the episodes free from ads. Who doesn't love that? Not to mention, I'll keep doing everything that you've already come to love. Ask me questions for live Q&As. Let's talk about your favorite books, what yummy vegan food I'm eating for lunch, and what ridiculous headlines I'm reading today. You can do all of that and more, but only if you are a Liz Wheeler Show VIP on Locals. The monthly subscription is $9 a month, but if you really want a good deal, we have an annual subscription for just $72. That's 4 months free. 4 months. So join me on Locals as a VIP. I'll see you over there.